everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to show you how to deploy a Python Flask application to AWS Elastic Beanstalk using AWS CodePipeline for a seamless CI/CD process. But before we dive into all the technical details, let's first talk about why you would need Elastic Beanstalk in the first place. You've spent weeks or even months building a cool new web application using Python and Flask. You're excited to share it with the world, so you decided to deploy it to a server. Everything seems to be going well until something breaks. Your application crashes and you have no idea what's going on or where to even begin with. This is a common scenario for many developers who are facing these sort of scenarios when deploying applications manually. The process can be error prone, quite time consuming, and downright frustrating. That is where AWS Elastic Beanstalk comes in to save the day. Elastic Beanstalk is a platform as a service offered by AWS that makes it incredibly easy to deploy, manage, and scale web applications as well as the services. With Elastic Beanstalk, you don't have to worry about the underlying infrastructure. It automatically handles the deployments from capacity provisioning, load balancing, and auto-scaling to application health monitoring. Plus, it supports a wide range of programming languages and frameworks, including Python, Java, Node.js, PHP, Ruby, and Go. In this tutorial, we'll not only deploy our Flask application to Elastic Beanstalk, but we will also automate this entire process using the AWS CodePipeline for CI/CD. This means every time you make changes to your code, it will automatically get built, tested, and deployed, ensuring your application is always up to date with the latest features and fixes. To be able to follow along with this tutorial, you will need an AWS account, some basic knowledge of Flask, and your Python Flask application ready. However, if you do not have an application yet, no worries at all. You can use the sample app we'll be working with today. All right, so let's start by creating a new repository on GitHub. So make sure you're logged into your accounts. And if you click here, the top right corner, you can also select new repository from there, and we'll take you to this page here. We'll call our new repository, let's say Head in the Clouds Beanstalk application. And if you scroll down, we'll keep it public. Let's say we can add a README file, and we'll also use a git ignore template for Python. Click on Create Repository, and once that's done, you can click on here to copy the URL. We've previously created a SSH key for this, so we're just going to use that option. And either here in Visual Studio Code or Terminal, make sure you have your own environment. We've just created an empty directory in here where we're going to clone down our repository so we can work with it on our local machine. And once that's completed, you can see here on the left-hand side, it's just appeared our new repository, which we just want to make sure we are actually in the right location. There it is. So once that's in place, we will start by setting up our Flask application. So let's make sure we create our virtual environment. So we'll run Python 3-m, and then we'll specify VNV. As you can see here, now it just showed up on the left-hand side as well, which is great. We also want to make sure this is actually activated for us. So let's do activate. Perfect. And let's do pip3 list just to check through what's currently there. So we've got pip and setup tools. There's also some suggestions to do some updates. So let's do pip3 install upgrade pip, and got completed pretty rapidly. We also want to make sure that we are installing Flask for this demo. That's also been successfully completed. If we do pip3 list again, we can see a few more dependencies in this list over here. So let's just make sure we do pip3 freeze, and then requirements.txt. And here on the left hand side, we can see our requirements file with all the dependencies saved nicely in this file. So let's just make sure we do the installation. So install -r and then requirements.txt. As we can see, the requirements have already been satisfied, which is great. Means we can proceed further with creating our, let's say, app.py. So in here, we're just going to specify some really simple Python Flask applications. So from Flask, import Flask. We can also fast forward this procedure until the end, so you can pause and copy the code later on. Perfect. Now that we're done, you can pause the video at this point and copy paste it. As I said, it's very simple Flask application, so it shouldn't take you too long to get this information from here. And just to make sure, before we proceed further, we would like to test this application locally. So let's just make sure we do Python app.py, and if we go here to our localhost 3000, we can see that our application is running. So let's just stop that and refresh, and as you can see now it's been exited. To move forward, we will containerize our Flask application using Docker. So to ensure, of course, that our application is running smoothly in any future environments, we'll containerize it by creating a Docker file. So let's do touch Docker file, and then we'll open it up. And here, once again, please feel free to pause this video once we complete the configuration, and you can also copy that across as part of your exercise and demonstrational purposes. Super, here it is, our Docker file. Once again, feel free to pause this video if need to copy this configuration across. And once again, we will make sure to test this build locally first. So let's just make sure our Docker is running. Just also clear up some of our old containers, and as well, let's check Docker images. So we'll also make sure that's all fresh for us to start deploying. So with the Docker file being in place, let's do docker build -t, and we'll call this image head in the clouds beanstalk app, and specify dot in the end to look into our Docker file here for the builds. It's running through the setup and creation of our image. So let's give it a moment to complete. There it is. And once again, we'll do Docker images, and here is our new Docker image itself. And let's test this locally. So Docker run on port 3000. We'll use head in the clouds app, Docker image with the latest tag, and once we can see obviously this being ran on the same ports, let's just refresh this, and voila, our application is running. If we obviously exit this, there you go, it's just went down. So if we do docker ps, we can see our container has been exited. All right, now let's make sure to push back all our changes to our repository. So if we do git status, here we'll be able to see all the files that we've previously created or made some changes to. We'll then type git add all. And if we do git status again, we'll be able to see these files now being highlighted in green. We'll then do git commit with a message, let's say initial commit, and we'll do git push to push back these changes to our GitHub repository. So if we go back in here and refresh the page, we'll be able to see all the files being committed back to our repository. All right, so let's go to our AWS management console. So make sure you are logged in with your user. Also for this demo, we're using Frankfurt's Use Central 1. And we just want to give you a quick overview of what exactly we're going to be doing as part of this demo. So in the first part, we will deploy our previously created application directly to Elastic Beanstalk by uploading our entire, let's say, folder. We're going to compress it into a zip file with all the dependencies, application file, Docker file, etc. And we will demonstrate to you a manual way of deploying applications to Elastic Beanstalk itself. So if you do ever want to use it in the future for testing purposes, this is definitely one of the ways. The second option is to have something a little bit more automated. So we will introduce you to AWS CodePipeline, which we are going to use together with Elastic Beanstalk to pretty much automate this process. So we also refer back to our GitHub repository that we've initially created, and we will use the code directly from that repository and not the zip file like in the first demo. So basically we will create a pipeline that you could also always refer back to, and if there are any specific changes you want to make to your code, you can just go make those changes in the GitHub, and with the connection that we'll create with of course Elastic Beanstalk and CodePipeline, and these changes are going to be automated for us in the future. So giving you a little bit of let's say advanced setup as well for demonstrational purposes and also practices as well. So now that we're here, we will go to the Elastic Beanstalk, which is already here, and we will create a new environment. So on the left hand side, if you extend over here, we'll click on environments. We can see some previous ones we used for testing purposes. We'll click on this button, create environments. We will leave web server environments as the default for the environments tier. And under the application name, we will call it Head in the Clouds Beanstalk. And let's just call this first demo zip app, as we're going to be using the zip file. We'll scroll through the environment information. We'll leave it as it is. And here under the platform, and we'll use the manage platform. We'll select Docker here. And once again, we'll leave default for platform branch, as well as the platform version, which is recommended. And under the application code, here we can see a couple of options. So we've got a sample application and upload your code. So as we said previously, we will go now to our Visual Studio Codes to also zip the entire repository, so this entire directory here, into a zip file. So you can run this command, which is something we previously already did. As you can see on the left hand side, we have a new file that's been created called Head in the Clouds Beanstalk demo.zip. And if we go back in here, we'll select local file, choose file, and then make sure we are selecting the correct one. When it comes to presets, we will use the single instance as this is still part of the free tier, which is still eligible, and it will be sufficient enough for our demo. We can proceed next. Let's just give this a version number 10, sorry. We'll click on next, and here it's going to ask us about the configuration of the service access. So we're going to use the existing service role as well as the instance profile. So we can click on next, and over here we'll carry on with the default settings for this demo. So we'll just skip to review. And once again, if we just check through the environment's information, it's actually using the application code that we've specified earlier and we uploaded from our local machine. So looking good to us. Let's just submit this to start the actual creation of the environment. And I think it's just saying to us that version 1 already exists. So let's just try to change this to something else. Okay. And let's call it version 1.1. And next. Once again, using the same, skip to review. And submit. And here it is. It's actually now starting to launch our environment. This will definitely take a few minutes, so we'll pause this video now and continue once it's been completed. Excellent. So our environment has been successfully launched. So you can see here we've got a confirmation at the top of the screen, and if we also scroll through the page, you'll be able to see all the events that actually occurred as part of the build process, so you can also investigate a little bit more to understand in detail what exactly happened. And if you scroll back up, you can also see information about the platform itself and also an overview of the environment, showing us the health status, environment ID, the actual link to our application and the application name. So if you click on this link, it will take us, there you go, to our application that we've previously worked on. Of course, this is demonstrating that this manual deployment has been successfully completed, and we are ready to wrap up and continue with the second option, which is to automate this process with using the CI/CD pipelines, in this case AWS CodePipeline, together with GitHub, where our code is. So let's get to it. All right, so as part of this demo, we will go through the automation of the deployments using the AWS CodePipeline. So let's just make sure we create a new environment for this demo purposes. So we'll go back to Elastic Beanstalk, and in here we'll see our previously created environments using the zip code. Now we'll create a new one, same settings. So in here we'll keep the environment here to web server environments. The application name, we'll give it something like Beanstalk. And then for this demo, we'll be using GitHub as our source code. So let's just do GH for GitHub and application. Environment information will remain the same. And if we scroll through to the platform, in here, we are once again going to choose Docker. And this time for application code, we will use a sample application, so something that's provided by AWS. However, we will be adding further configuration later on to connect this with our GitHub repository. So for the time being, we'll just leave it to remain as a sample application. And lastly, presets. Once again, we'll use a single instance, so happy to proceed with that. In here, we'll use the same default service roles already existing. And once again, we'll just skip to review and use the other settings as default. We're happy with that, and we'll click on submit to start the creation of our new environment. For this demo purpose, once again, it will take probably a few minutes to go through the setup, so we'll pause the video here and continue once it's ready. And here it is. Once again, we managed to create our environments successfully. If you scroll through, once again, you'll be able to see all the events recorded as part of the setup. And if we scroll back up, we can see the health is showing as it's with the status set to OK at the moment. So everything is checked in green, which is really, really good news for us. And if we click on this link here, it will take us to the actual sample application that we previously used as part of this configuration. Once again, we will be changing this once we make the connection to GitHub repo and also set up our CI/CD pipeline. So let's close that for now, and we'll proceed further with CodePipeline setup. All right, so now that we have our Beanstalk environment set up, we will go to CodePipeline. So in here, before we start with the pipeline setup for the CI/CD process, we will firstly make sure that we do have our connection to GitHub already established. So as we're doing this for the very first time, we'll click on Create Connection, and in here we'll select a provider. We'll use GitHub for this demo, and we'll give a connection name, let's say Head in the Clouds GitHub connection. We'll click on Connect to GitHub. We'll wait for it to load. So the connection name is there. However, as you can see, we do not have any of the apps showing up here just yet. Once again, as this is our first initial setup, we will click on this button here. We'll continue with my user, and in here I just want to have selected repositories, so I'm just going to make sure I use the Head in the Clouds one, so the one we previously created, and we'll click on Install. We'll just pause this for a second so I can also authenticate. Perfect, and now this is linked to our GitHub. We'll click on Connect, and there it is. So the connection has been verified and created successfully. We've also got some details here about the connection itself, provider status, so on. Now, once that is in place, we will actually start with the creation of our pipeline. So let's just go back to the code pipeline. Under the pipeline, select pipelines and then create a new one. And then in here, we'll call it Head in the Clouds Beanstalk. Once again, we'll give this GitHub. So GH, and let's just put app in there. Execution mode, we'll use this top option. We can also use an existing role. Variables we'll leave as is. Source provider, we'll use GitHub version 2. And in here, we should already be able to see our connection. There it is that we previously created. If you haven't done so, you can also click on this button and go through the setup. Once again, we'll select our repository. So that's the Head in the Clouds Beanstalk app one. And default branch will be main, so you can also find the information over here, unless you're using a different branch. Output artifact format, we'll use the default one. We'll select no filter for this demo. For the build stage, we'll just skip that for now. And under deploy, we'll actually use AWS Elastic Beanstalk. We will make sure we're in the right region, so Frankfurt. Application name is the top one, and the environment name is this one over here. Let's click on next and create pipeline. And there it is. Once again, it will take probably a few moments to go through the setup. So we'll pause this video and continue once it's ready. And here it is. We've managed to get to the final stage of this demo. So once again, we're confirming that the actual pipeline execution has been completed successfully. And if we also go to our Elastic Beanstalk, in here we can see our environment. So GitHub app env we've created for the second part of the demo. We can also see its health and some other information about the environment itself. And if we click on this link in here, we'll also be able to see all the events since the very beginning. So the initial creation, so probably 10-20 minutes ago, all the way up to when we actually made a connection and did the deployment of the GitHub source code. So you can see some changes happening here. So your environment update is starting, deploying new version to the instances, and confirmation that it's been completed successfully. Some other updates after that. We can also check the status of the health, which is looking good at the moment. And if we click on this link here, remember before it was just a sample application that we could see provided by AWS. But if we click on this now, we should hopefully be able to see our app. And there it is. Welcome or hello, head in the clouds. This is our demo on Elastic Beanstalk. Once again, demonstrating this has been successfully completed. So this wraps up our Docker series, and we really do hope you have found them informative and helpful. In our next video, we will be starting a new journey, and this is with Kubernetes, something we've been waiting and working on for quite some time now. So we're really happy to present and bring to you an orchestration tool that will take your container management and this whole learning experience to the next level. Once again, thank you for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials. Until next time, goodbye.